Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Extra mechila, slicha, kapara. I'm sorry, I started a minute early. I'll try to work on myself. It shouldn't happen again. Lili nishmas, imi, rusbas, mardachai. It's so early, nobody's on Zoom yet. There's like 50 guys only. Wow. Today's shir is being sponsored by the Pearlstein and Alter families. Oi! I forgot to print out their email. That's a problem. I don't remember it and it's in my phone. What do I do? Let's see if I can read it off real quickly. Somehow if I could get out of here. 1 second. Shtickle problem. I don't know. Okay, maybe Gary will do it later. I apologize.
Email from who?
It was an email from the Pearlstein and Alter family. I'll have to read it tomorrow. Oh, so let's see if I can remember a little bit that it said. It said that their father in Shver, Harav Shrage Feivel ben Harav Chaim Yehuda Zechron Levracha, Chav Gimel Cheshvan. He's also a Marbitz Torah. What else? There's a big Marbitz Torah. He's very into learning. I don't remember the whole thing. All right, say it at a different time. Also sponsored anonymously by Kalman of the Five Towns in the schos of Menachem Mendel ben Simcha, Refuah Shlema for Yitzchok Isaac ben Esther Yita and Miriam bat Sarah. He says he'd like us to go 20 for 20, whatever that means. But Rabbi Isai, I think we opened up a big can of worms. I was a little worried about it. This is from Kalman. In the schos, Menachem Mendel ben Simcha, Refuah Shlema, husband and wife just came down with COVID. Yitzchok's in the hospital. I needed to be 20 for 20. Also, if you don't mind me saying, I do mind, but okay, I knew I was going to open up a can of worms here. Wasn't happy about the Biden sponsor yesterday. So, too bad. Can we please charge double for those? A correction also on that sponsor. Biden hasn't won it. Kitzer is becoming political. I don't take achrayus for what people put up there. As long as it's not offensive, well, some people it's offensive. I guess 90% of the crowd that watches are Trump people because Kar Satayv to Israel, what he's done in Israel, and taxes and all that sort of thing. Although yesterday I said that Keith is probably not in real estate. He wrote back, he is. He's an attorney, a real estate attorney. I don't know. Okay, fine. But Baruch Hashem, I don't take responsibility for what people write. If they're not like saying shtusim, complete shtusim, and so whatever. Especially Kalman, he has special rights, so he could talk politics if he wants. Only on elections can decide the election, and that is a long way from now, Rabbi. It's a long way, says Kalman. Trump is still the president, and Be'ezras Hashem will continue to be. Rabbi, say, fight this out. If you're a Biden, send him more money. For $500, you'll say a whole thing that he's the president. Also, I'm a little confused about the upcoming Siyum. What time will it be on the 22nd of November? Is there going to be any kind of global coordination from the front office? No. We expect you, Kalman, to coordinate the 5-town Siyum again. We expect Shmelka to make another 16-ounce or 24-ounce steak barbecue in Borough Park. And everybody go back to their thing, the way it was. If you need a push, we can push a little bit. I know it's not going to be like Shabbos. Why? It's going to be better. But still confused. What we'll be doing as a group, if anything, unless it's all up to each state. 5 towns, Brooklyn, regards, Kalman and 5 towns. Okay, so we have to have a little bit more clarification here. Rabbi Isai, here's an email from Jay Spitzer from Toronto. It's good to see you back in the Eretz HaKodesh. The next step will be get you back to Beis Medrash, likely to scale back numbers to start, hopefully with the full oilam very soon. I was wondering, when will you be starting the 9:15 shir so that us Eastern Time Zone Toronto can watch you live? I know you're thinking of changing the time, but for me, 2:15 works. I take a break. I think we heard the same thing from Yom Schwartz. I take a break during my work day and try to squeeze in 20-30 minutes. Moving back an hour. She says, okay, if moving back an hour too, be good, so it's more lunchtime. Great. Anyway, if you could think about getting the nighttime show back up and running, that would be great, as watching live keeps me more alert and also joins me with the full chevra watching on Zoom. Kol Tuv J. Oh, first of all, I'm still jet lagged. Half of my brain is still in Chicago. So we have to get over that. And then when we get over that, we have to decide, Taka, what to do. Oh, Rabbi said, did you see this? Here's Kalman's Minyan Man, make a minyan, which remind me that I took my very good friend Avi Kamilar to, we were going through Yerushalayim, took him to a minyan, and I said, here's the minyan factory, go in there. And his daughter was in seminary, he goes, what? This is where they make minions? Like, wow. Okay, Zog the Gemara. We are Daf Tzadik Beis Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. So, yesterday we're discussing a beautiful topic. You have the wider rooftop, the wider chutzner leading into a narrow one. And we said that the wider one controls the smaller ones as if the wider one is in the small one. It's just considered an opening, but if you're in the vantage point of the smaller one, it's wide open to the larger one, and therefore, usher to carry here, usher to plant here, etc. Different halachas. For instance, if you're a woman, you're standing in the larger one, and the get falls in the smaller one. The husband puts the get here. It's as if she's in the smaller one. She's divorced, etc. Comes Abaya and says he overhears these halachas, and he says, I don't understand something. If it was a regular, there was no mechitza at all. Let's say in this case, no mechitza, just outer mechitzas, but no indentations. Then all you have to do in order to plant next to a vineyard is distance it 4 amos. That's it. But now that you have some sort of wall here, now you have to distance it even more. Everything in this small area comes into the large one. The large one overtakes the small one. A wall is supposed to separate. Look, this looks like a separation to me. There's an indentation here. Doesn't make any sense, says Abaya. A mechitza doesn't aser. A mechitza makes it mutter. If anything, there should be a nice fake wall here, an invisible wall, and plant as much as you want over here. The wall should help you. It shouldn't make it worse for you, says Abaya. So then, those 3 that said these halachas, the 5 different halachas, a minyan, a shliach tzibur, a get, they had questions on Abaya. We saw one of them yesterday, and now we're continuing on with Amalei Rava Abaya. Taisus is Gairis Rabba, says to Abaya, because Rabba was in fact there. He was one of the 3 people that were saying these halachas. On the other hand, Taisus says, but it's Rava that says this halacha later on. Okay, fine. In Sukkah, let's see. Amalei Rava Abaya v'loy matziru mechitza le'isur. You're telling me that a mechitza never makes it worse? I'll give you an example where a mechitza makes it worse. So we're talking about a person makes a sukkah on top of a pergola, and he has these beams, 4 beams on the side. Let's call them 1 tefach wide. Now a sukkah needs 2 walls, 2 real walls, and the 3rd wall has to be a tefach. So if I take this chach, so, according to Rashi, I have this wall right over here, the white walls, the walls of the house, let's call them. Those are nice, large walls, plus a tefach, for a total of 3. Now, in Masechet Sukkah, we learned that they have to be like an L shape. An L shape plus the 3rd one. Over here, it's wide open. Okay, they're trying to discuss what Rashi exactly means. That's in Sukkah, maybe in Hilchos Eruvin it's different. Fine. The point is that if we look at this pergola, we have 1, 2, 3 walls. But what if you fill in the gap? You add a wall to it, meaning it looks something like this. You add wood where these yellow arrows are, and now this becomes a straight wall. You don't see any indentations. So you just added a mechitza. This sukkah is possible because now you only have 1, 2 walls. You're missing the 3rd wall. Says the Gemara, says Rabba, Tabai, look, here's the situation. I added a wall and I made it worse. V'ilu hishva p'tzimeh, 2 lines from the top. V'ilu hishva p'tzimeh, but if you enclosed those beams that are holding up the pergola, psula, sukkah is possible. You're asking me a question according to your own shita. I hold That's a perfect sukkah. It's a good sukkah. Lididig sheira. Why? Because, as you remember, I found this. This is a better picture than we had before, from the beginning of Masechta. Here, in a wide open achsadra, wide open pergola, Abaya invokes Pi Tikra Yair V'Saisim. Even though it's in a bika, it's in the middle of a desert, the edge of the pergola goes down, and it's enclosed on 4 sides. Now, if you recall, we discussed there was a Shmooze in Rashi that's the edge. It's the large beam. Does it have to be the large beam or any part of the pergola? So I want to show you something. Come with me for a little trip here. I just want to go outside for a second because I want to show off my pergola to you. I want to show you something interesting here. Not interesting, but just we'll do. I don't know if I could even do this here. This is going to be a tough one. Let's see. Hopefully Zoom doesn't fall down. Okay. Here's my pergola. By the way, here's the view of Eretz Yisrael. Okay. It's not such a great view here. I don't know if you could see this, but I'm going to take this stick right over here. Do you see this guy? I don't know if you can see. I can't hear anybody. This guy, this is what we were talking about in terms of the Pi Tikra Yair V'Saisim. Not these guys. These guys not. But over here, Rashi says, I don't know if you see this, even these guys, not only this giant beam that holds up the entire, but even the cross beams. All right. That being said, I don't know. I don't hear anybody. Got to rush back in. Okay. What happened? Didn't work?
That was great.
Okay.
Can we stop for a lunch break?
I just wanted to show you my beautiful pergola before I paint it. Nice. No, but it's a halacha l'maisa. Is it the main beams? Over here Rashi says, V'hanach koris yishlam peh, daheinu chuda, even the ones on top of the main beam. And Rashi says as long as they're not rounded. If they're nice and square, then you have a nice sharp edge that comes down halachically. Halacha Moshe Messina. Says Abaya lididach, but you rabba siluk mechitzosi. Look what happens. Same svar that we said yesterday. You had 3 walls because this was only a pole, a beam, and you filled it in. So what you did is you didn't build a mechitza. What you did is you took away the mechitza. We had a beautiful mechitza before, 3 walls, and you ruined one. You knocked one down. How? By building a wall. So don't tell me that building a mechitza makes it worse. You didn't build a mechitza. You covered the original mechitza, and that's why it's not good. By the way, I got to stop for a second. It's a tremendous chus to have Michael Cohen on. We haven't seen him in a very long time. I haven't seen him. He's hiding somewhere, and he's back. And that's the way to do it, Rabbi said. He's come back in middle of Eruvin, towards the end, 10 daf. You don't wait until Pesachim. Somebody came to visit me and said, oh, I'm waiting for Pesachim. No. Right now, today. Another question. Again, Abaye is the one that says a mechitza can't make it worse. A mechitza is there to make it better always. Why are you telling me it's making it worse? So, Rabbi Bar Chanan asks a question. A ceiling is also a mechitza. So, if you have this roof, you have a house that has a partial roof. You planted your vineyard below. We were discussing this exactly yesterday without even realizing. One of my friends in Chicago got this giant target for free from the government, and he's planting, he's doing this new vegetable thing, indoor vegetable growing. Basically lettuces, bug-free, delicious, fresh, that sort of thing. So this guy, it was already invented in the time of the Gemara. Here's a giant target. The guy did his vineyard indoors below a roof. But part of it is open. Typically what you do is, you have to distance from the vineyard 4 amas, and then you could plant your vegetables. Not within 4 amas. Over here, you could go right up to the vineyard. Why? Because you have pi tikkur yoyer v'soisim. Let's see inside. Gefanim kan, if the vineyard is inside, underneath the roof, mutal Israel kan. You could immediately plant right here. Why? Because the edge that we just saw outside, you guys want to see it again? Should I go outside? No? Okay, fine. So the edge goes all the way down, creates a mechitza. There's a mechitza. And if there's a mechitza, it's invisible, and it's a halachic mechitza, but anytime there's a wall, here, we even have, just throw it in here. Here's a typical case where a guy has a vineyard, he put a wall, and he could plant his wheat directly by the wall. He doesn't have to distance it it's not a physical 4 amos, as long as there's a mechitza. So over here, there's a halachic mechitza. Great. What happened? Vilu hishves kiruyov. What if he filled in the roof? He just finished it off. Now, it would be usher to plant right next to the vineyard. So you see that a mechitza ruins it. Here's a case where a mechitza makes it worse. Asur, amalei, so Abai tells him, hasam siluk mechitzasu. Before you filled in the gap, you had Allah Moshe Sinai, pi tikra yoyer v'soisim, like these yellow arrows, they go downwards. Everything is good. But when you closed up the roof, it's not that the mechitza ruined it, you got rid of the good of the pi tikra yoyer v'soisim. That's something else. Your mechitza ruined something else. It's not that mechitza ruined what you have. Your mechitza took away another mechitza. Very good. That's something else. Shalachi Rava l'Abaya. Rava asks Abaya. Now here it seems like, I'm just saying this, I'm out loud, I just realized now. Like Taisus. Taisus said before it wasn't Rava, it was Rabba. So Rabba asked him a question. Now it's Rava's turn. If before it was Rava, so what is he doing again? He's asking another question. It's a little interesting. Shalach le Rava l'Abaya. B'yad Rav Shmaya bar Zeira. He sent a messenger. I have another case that a mechitza makes it worse. We're going to be learning a beautiful sugya of klei hakerem. And we actually, if it's familiar to you, it is because we learned it 90 days ago. Daf Gimel in Eruvin. Sometimes a wall, when it comes to vineyard, is a kula, sometimes it's a chumrah. Ketzad? What's the case? In this case, the mechitza acts as a kula, because if I have a vineyard, I put a wall here, it could be a very thin wall, I could start planting immediately next to my vineyard. The distance between my vineyard and my vegetables is 2.5 inches. Why? Because I have a wall. I don't have to wait 4 tfachim. Distance to 4 tfachim. You could plant all the way up against the wall your vegetables. Because if there was no wall, you'd have to distance it 4 amos. That's a great example of where a wall gives you a kula. And what's the case that it's a chumrah? In other words, anything less than 12 amma, you cannot plant 12 amma from a wall. Now, in order to understand the question, is very, very simple. But we're going to fill it up with a lot of detail that has nothing to do with the question. But here's the question. If we stop right here, here's the question. The question is, in order to plant a vineyard next to a wall, you have to distance your vineyard 12 amma from a wall. And if there's no wall, how much do you have to distance it? 4 amma. The question is, 12 amma is more than 4 amma. So if there's a wall, it ruins it for you. So you see, walls ruin things for you. Again, if there's a wall, you can't plant for 12 amma. That's a much bigger chumrah than having to just distance it 4 amma. That's the question. Why do you have to distance it for 12 amma? Now we're going to go into a little bit of a sugya and understand that if you remember, there's a tractor, you need room for 4 amma for a tractor. You also need that the vineyard shouldn't overcome any land that you have, because anything less than 4 amma is not chashuv. So let's say I have a 2-inch strip of land next to the vineyard grabs it. It becomes the vineyard because it's not chashuv. Once it's 4 amma, it's chashuv. So that's already 8 amma. Says the Gemara, anything that's less than 12 amma, in other words, Yud Aleph amma, lo yavi zera l'sham, you're not allowed to plant there. Shilmale ei mechitza, Because if there's no mechitza, here's the question of the Gemara. All you need to do is distance it 4 amas. And you're telling me that a mechitza never hinders anything. A mechitza is never a problem. Over here, the mechitza is a very big problem. I just lost in my farm 8 amma. All I needed to do typically is 4 amma. Now I have to distance it 12 amma. And that's a chumrah. The Gemara is going to explain everything. Omarle, so Abai says, wait a minute. Before, I don't care if you guys are doing Daf Yomi, you don't understand. I just need to make a point here, he says. You're asking me from a Brisa, according to you, ask me from a Mishnah. Isn't it much better to ask me from a Mishnah? This nan. Karachas HaKerem, the bald spot in a vineyard. In other words, in the middle of the vineyard, you want to grow another variety of plants, vegetables. You have to distance yourself from the vineyard 24 amma. Only 16 amma. So, again, this is not important to our sugya, but it's geshmak stuff, and why not? We want to learn other stuff. This is a Mishnah inclined. You want to plant here in the center. So, Beisil say, first of all, you always need distance for your tractor. The distance is 4 amma. Besides that, if you take a look here, this vineyard is going to grab anything less than 4 amma in the center is going to become part of the vineyard, and that's usher. Then you planted vegetables in a vineyard. And anything 4 amma, less than 4 amma on this side, excuse me, is going to be chopped up from this side of the vineyard. Therefore, the center needs to be 8 amma, 4 amma, so it doesn't get swallowed up by the left side, and 4 amma that doesn't get swallowed up by the right side. So you have 8 amma, plus 4 amma for the tractor, plus 4 amma for the tractor, a total of 16. That's Basil. Shami say, okay, you double up the center. You need 8 amma on each side. Mechayla kerem, and this is important to our sugyo. What if we're talking about a wall? A bald spot next to the wall. How much room do you have to move? 16 amma. So, again, you need 4 amma for a tractor. You cannot plant your vineyard unless you distance yourself from this wall 12 amma. What's the 12 amma? 4 amma for a tractor. 4 amma for between the wall and your vineyard, so that the wall doesn't eat up your where you're planting your vegetables, and 4 amma of that should be a makam chashav. You need a chashav, a place to plant. You can't have a small strip of 1 inch. That you agreed to me that if it was 1 inch, it would be swallowed up by the vineyard. So you give it a nice gezunta 4 amma. 4 amma for the tractor, 4 amma for planting, 4 amma from the wall. Total of 12. Says the Gemara, will explain it. What does it mean there's a bald spot in the middle of the vineyard? The center is not planted anymore. If you don't have 16 amma, you can't plant anything. You need, the square has to be 16 amma. You have 16, you give it, if we go back, you give it 4 amma for the tractor, and you could plant the rest. So you have 4 for the tractor, you plant the center. What does it mean, mechayla kerem? Mechayla kerem means you're planting up against a fence. You need at least 12 amma from the wall to the vineyard. You give it 4 amma for the tractor, and then you can plant 4 amma in the center, and you need 4 amma for the wall. So, says Abaya, why are you, Rav, asking me a question? From a Brisa, I just brought you a Mishnah that says the same exact thing. Even if you go according to Beis Hillel, you need to distance yourself 12 amma from a wall. Wall equals bad. Isser. Without a wall, distance 4 amma. So why are you asking me from a Brisa, asking me from a Mishnah? So let me explain to you, Rava, why you don't ask from the Mishnah. Hasam lav haynu taima, and I'll explain to you the Mishnah, then it'll answer the same thing for the Brisa. They called al amas legabe keren avodas hakerem. So, says Abaye, very pashut. Yes, you need 4 amma for a tractor. Ligabe, haynu tam kol dam ligabe ker, avoid this ker. Ligabe goder ki vindelo misdaro nafkure mafkir lahu. Nafkure mafkir de beina. Sorry, nafkure mafkir. So, says Abaye as follows. Very pashut. The reason why when there's a wall, you need 12 amma is because these 4 amma next to the wall, nobody plants next to the wall. You can't bring a tractor next to the wall. It'll destroy your wall. It'll weaken up the foundation. If you weaken up the dirt next to the wall will fall down. So you always distance your tractor 4 amma from a wall. It's not halacha that you have to distance 12 amma. Well, it did become halacha. Why? Because these 4 amma become hefker. You can't use them as part of your chush of a field because you'll never plant in those 4 amma. So Mela, those 4 amma don't count at all. Oh, once they don't count, now I need 4 amma for a tractor and 4 amma to plant on. So it's not that the wall created an isser here. The wall is just a physical thing. You can't plant next to a wall. Now, in between this strip right over here, if it has 4 amma, that's chashuv, then it won't be bottled to the vineyard, it won't be bottled to anything else. End of the story. So now we learned a little bit about we're in the middle of Eruvin. Just a chazara, actually we learned this kind of almost word for word. A lot of it, I should say, on Daf Amud Beis. Refresher. All right, Amar Rav Yehuda. So going back to this idea that if you have a wider chutzner going into a narrower chutzner, we say that it's as if you, because the wider one rules over the smaller one, it's as if you are in the smaller one. Amar Rav Yehuda, Gimel karfefiyos ze b'tzad ze. So, simple karfaf, a nice little square that you store your wood in. The halacha is, let's say you have 3 individuals traveling. They need to stop for Shabbos. So they're not going to build a nice fence. That's a lot of work. So what do? They take these poles, and every 3 tfachim they put a pole. These poles are called shesi. They're standing upright, shesi, every 3 tfachim. That's not a good mechitza. That's a very inferior mechitza. A good mechitza is shesi ve'erev, like a real white picket fence. You have the poles and you go. Or there's another way to do it. You could do just erev. You could put 2 poles on either side and you put string right across, like we have some of these sukkahs. So if you have an inferior wall, you only get 2 saw worth of property for Shabbos. However, if you are 3 people, you get as much as you need. If you need 20 saw, take 20 saw. Whatever you're carrying with you, you have a lot of camels, take 20 saw. If you're by yourself, and you did a proper nice mechitza, you could go more than 2 saw. You did chesed, you could do more than 2 saw. We're talking about they put poles. So there, you only get 2 saw per person. So now the Gemara gives us beautiful cases with these 3 karfifiyos. 3 people. Shalosh karfifiyos ze b'tzad ze. Now you have 3 people, each one made themselves a little karfaf. They made an eruv between each other. Are they considered 3 people that are together? When 3 people, a shayara, a caravan move through, they're together, they get more than 2 saw. They get as much as they need. Are they considered that they're traveling together or not? What shape are the karfifos? This is the problem. If it was square, then yes, then they're together. The problem is, they did our case of Chatzar G'dayla and Chatzar Ktana, where the G'dayla always rules over the Ktana. And in this case, do we have 3 people together, or perhaps not? Let's see inside. Oh, so the first case is, it's like a bow tie, sort of. You have 2 G'daylos and a Ktana. That's the cartoon, the guy who was carrying stuff. Nothing funny, nothing interesting. So think about it for a second. The G'dayla, the wide one, here's a gifuf. Gifufe means these indentations. The wide one is like he's in the middle one. This guy, he's like he's in the middle one. So what do we have here? We have a case where three people are together. Three people are together, they can do whatever they want. They can have as much room as they need. Not want, as much as they need. Then they become like three people. Obviously they made an Eruv, says Rashi. Great. Now what about the reverse? The center one is the wider one, like a Chevrolet emblem. So you have the middle guy. The middle guy rules over the two other guys. So where is he? He could be to the right and he could be to the left. But you don't have in one area three people. You could have 1.5 people on both sides, or 2 people on one side and one. We don't have 3 people in any one karfaf. No, in this case, there are 3 individuals. 3 individuals times 2 sa, they get 6 sa between the 3. Ask the Gemara a question. What if you have 1 on each side and 2 in the center? What happened there? Where is it? Here you go. So you have 2 guys in the center. Do we ship the 2 guys to one side, and therefore right over here you're going to have 3 people? And if you have 3 people, now everybody's allowed. This is a shayla in the Rishonim. Do you do everywhere they're allowed everything, or just in one place? Fine. Or do we say 1 guy goes to the right, 1 guy goes to the left, and now we're still stuck with 2 people in each karfaf, not enough to allow us to do whatever we want? Do we say both of them go in one direction or not? And Rashi says, listen, if I ship them off to one side, then everybody gets whatever they want. Even the other side, because we're going to say they go to both sides. They're like simultaneously, they go here, they go there, they go back and forth. So wherever you look at, you have 3 people. Maybe you just split them up. You have 2 on each side, because you have 4 people total. So you look at it 3 and 1, or you look at 2 and 2, and therefore they don't get whatever they want. And if you say that you divide them up, so what about a different case? What about this drunk guy in the middle? And you got 2 guys on this side and 2 guys on this side. Again, he rules on everybody. So he could be to the right, he could be to the left. So if you split up 2 people and you give 1 to the right, 1 to the left, so what happens if you have 1 person? You have to split him down the middle. You only give half of him to the other guy. So nobody has 3 people. You only have 2.5. Well, you can't split a person in half, and therefore it doesn't work. If you send them in one direction, you're definitely going to have 3 people on one side. Or perhaps you send them in both directions, and you got nothing. In all these halachas, you do it lekula, you ship this guy to the side, you got 3. In this case, you ship both of them to one side, and you have 3. In other words, you can do whatever you want in all cases. We're talking about Eruvin here, the mechitzas lekula. We are turning to Daf Gimel Amud Beis, sponsored by Dr. Alan Listhouse, in memory of my mother, Shendel Bat, Aaron Hersh, and Bracha. Sponsored by the Austin and Tobias grandchildren, Mishpachas, Lila Nishmas, our Bobby, Zissel Bas Chaim, was nifter when she was 98 years old. Tanan, Omer of Chizdov. Gidud Chamisha Umechitza Chamisha Mister brand new sugya, brand new Masechta. If you just joined us, first day in Eruvin, brand new. What happens? A mechitza needs to be 10 tefachim. What happens if you are standing in your mechitza here? I had a shtickle problem because after I put him in there, I realized he's a priest. So then I had to paint up his his white collar thingy, whatever. Lo mashana. Just pretend I didn't say that. We're talking about a nice Rosh Hashiva. As you can see, he's missing his feet. Why? Just to give you a little bit of there's a wall here. This wall is 5 tvachim, this nice brick wall. And this brown wall is 5 tvachim. Together you have 10 tvachim. So if you're standing from this vantage point, from the lower level, you have a 10 tvachim wall. If you're standing on top, you only have a 5 tvachim wall. Says the Gemara, initially, a mitzdarfen. There's no wall here. 5 plus 5 is not 10. Ad if, say, this thing is 10 tfachim, perfect. Or if he's inside, it's 10 tfachim, great. Now, Rashi just points out, very interesting. If this is 10 tfachim, the lower one, why is that considered a mechitza for the upper guy? If it's 5 tfachim, you're telling me the upper guy doesn't notice that this is a 10 tfachim mechitza. So why is it that he notices a 10 tfachim mechitza when he doesn't have anything, zero? Says Rashi, very interesting, a fact. The fact is, if there's nothing, then he could go to the edge and look down. But if there's 5 tfachim, he doesn't go over and stick his head over. He's looking from where he's at, and where he's at, he only sees 5 tfachim. Again, if there's 0, then it's a good mechitza because this 10 below, the dirt part over here, the brown part is 10 tfachim, and that is good for the upper guy as well. Why? Because he can notice it. How? By going up to the edge and looking down. Okay.
What does that have to do with anything?
What do you mean?
Who cares if he...
No, mechitzas have to be nicker. Nicker mechitza. Heker and a mechitza. You do need that.
It's nicker.
What?
It's nicker.
Nicker to him. It has to be nicker to you. Yeah, it's funny. You think about the same things I do. That's the halacha in mechitza. In these mechitzas, you have to, we had yesterday, if there's a mechitza, you don't say good asik if it's not nicker. You have to be able to see it. Azay is. Meisvei, shtei chatzeres zulum al mazu. Okay, so going back to this case even, you have an upper one and a lower one. The elyoina gvoya ben atachtoina asar tfachim, and the upper one is higher than the lower one by 10 tfachim. Oy sheyesh bo gidul chamisha mechitza mechamisha. So that's our case. Oy, or there's 5 and 5. From the vantage point of the upper guy, there's only 5 tfachim. Lower guy, there's 5 tfachim. What does it say here? Ma'arvim shnayim ve'im ma'arvim echad. It's a perfect mechitza. The exact opposite of what we just said. We just said it's not a good mechitza. Over here in the Bryce it says, the fact is, they make individual Eruvin. Why? Because this is a good mechitza. It's a 10 tfachim mechitza. I don't care that it's split up 5 and 5. And then the Bryce continues. We have to remember this one. If it's less than 10 tfachim, then they're considered one continuous chotzer, and they make one eruv. Ma'arvim shnayim, by the way, we're going to see it a few times, means they have to have individual eruvim. Omar Rava. So it's a problem. We just said, Rav Chizda says that if it's 5 and 5, it's not considered a mechitza. We just said 5 and 5 is a mechitza. Says the Gemara, Rav Chizda b'tachtoina hoyel v'roya pnei asara. The bottom guy, he sees 10. So when you're looking, we're talking about the bottom guy. He sees 10 tfachim, he has a beautiful wall. It's the guy on top that doesn't have a wall. So if so, there's never a case where the bottom guy can make an eruv together with the upper guy because there's a nice fat mechitza between the two. Yes, the upper guy doesn't have a mechitza, but the bottom guy has a mechitza. How could he ever join with the eruv on the upper guy? The upper guy, since he's separated from the lower guy, he can't do anything. First of all, he doesn't have a mechitza himself. Look at him. If he's standing here, this Jewish not priest guy, where he's standing, he only has 5 tfachim. That's not enough to make a mechitza, to make an eruv. Elamai, he wants to be part of the lower guy. He can't be part of the lower guy because the lower guy has a 10 tfachim mechitza and he's separated from the upper guy. We're talking about a case where it's open. You see right over here? I used the same picture. I figured nobody's going to notice until we get there. Here's an opening. You see right over here on the two ends, you do have a 10 tfachim mechitza for him. Eser Amois. So, the upper guy has a mechitza that's 10 tfachim. Where? On the sides, right over here. And this is considered a petach because it's less than 10 amos wide. Ihachi. Okay, great. So, the bottom guy, what does the bottom guy have? He has a massive wall. This is 10 tfachim. Here, certainly, this is 20 tfachim. So he has a big wall. He's completely separated from the upper guy. Ihachi Meseifa, Pachis Mikan, Ma'arvim Echad, Ve'ein Ma'arvim Shtayim. If it's less than 10 tfachim, you make in the middle, right over here, it's less than 10 tfachim, you make one Eruv, Ma'arvim Echad, Ve'ein Ma'arvim Shtayim. They are one. Now, that's a big problem. Why are they one? There's still a 10 tfachim wall on the side for this guy. He cannot make an Eruv with the upper guy. He's separated from the upper guy. Yes, this part is open, but there's a giant wall on the sides. You can't make two Eruvin, it's only one. Why can't he do both? Why can't he do either or? At the end of the day, you have an opening, and you have it's a closed wall, but you also have a petach. So we're talking about a different case, and that's similar to the cases that we're familiar with. If you're standing over here, there's no petach at all. It's wide open. So the upper guy ruins it for the lower guy. The lower guy is open to the upper guy. It's two reshuyas. We said before. We said the entire Masechta. If you are open to somebody else and you don't have Erev, then you get answered by this guy. So if he's let him can't do individual, he's open, wide open to the upper guy, so let him do one Erev with the upper guy. He's not separated, he's wide open to him. Let him do an Erev with the upper guy. Says the Gemara, El Yoina, and the Gemara continues, the upper one, if it wants, trade to Arev, it could separate because it has a mechitza here, or it could be one. So why are you telling me differently? Says the Gemara. We're only talking about the lower guy. Could make only one Eruv. Why? Because he's wide open to the upper guy, but he can't separate. He can't do his own Eruv. He can only be together with the upper guy. End the story. Darash Meremar. Gidud chamisho mechitzu chamisho mitztarfen. So the opposite of what Rav Chizda says. Meremar says, no. Again, where's the picture? In this case, where we have a 5 tefach mechitza and a 5 tefach mechitza. For the lower guy, it's 10. For the upper guy, it's only 5. That's a good mechitza, says Meremar. The opposite of Rav Chizda. Ashkechei Ravinu, Rav Acha Berei the Rava, Amar Lei, Tani Mar Midi b'mechitza? Do you have any good stuff to tell me mechitza? Amar Lei Loi. No. Exactly why the Gemara says it. Interesting. Vilchasa. Gidud chamisha. Mechitza chamisha mitzarfen. So at the end of the day, says the Gemara, Rav Chizda is taken out la'alacha. We go like Meremar. 5 plus 5 equals 10 for mechitza. It is nicker. Maybe he could look over the wall, whatever the svara is, but at the end of the day, 5 plus 5 equals 10, and you can be mitzaref the 2. Boy Rabbi Shaya. The Yorin Habayim b'Shabbos Ma'oshi Asru. Let's say I have a wall between two chatzeres. This chatzar made Erev, this chatzar made Erev, but they never made an Erev together. And then the wall falls down. So you introduce new tenants to this chatzar. Now they weren't familiar with each other until the wall fell down on Shabbos. Ma'oshi Asru. Do they make it also on each other to carry? So it's a halacha that we discussed a number of times in the Masechta. If somebody dies on Shabbos, or if you add people on Shabbos, you add different things on Shabbos, the Mechitza, we had mamish this idea. The story that we're talking about over and over, you have a wider chatzur and a narrow chatzur. The wider one rules over the narrower one. And Memela, you could carry from the wider one into the smaller one, as no one pointed out yesterday. You bring your kalim from your house, etc. So the Gemara understands that even in a case where this happened on Shabbos, what do you mean nifritza? It happened on Shabbos. It broke on Shabbos. Even it doesn't say that it didn't happen on Shabbos. Maybe I'll be doichak and say that this breach in the wall happened before Shabbos. The whole question is, what happens if something new happens on Shabbos? We don't have a raya from here because perhaps this happened before Shabbos. Don't say maybe it happened before Shabbos. Like we were learning. We probably also understood that it happened before Shabbos. But Abai has a good raya. The Amaru the Amar. We asked Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda, Eirav derech Pesach v'nistam petach. What if you made an Eruv and you were relying on a certain window, let's say, to go back and forth between the Chatzeros so you could pass things through the window? We had this case, Eirav derech haloin v'nistam haloin, and the window, on Shabbos, there was an earthquake and a big piece of cement came and closed the window. Mahu, what's the halacha? Does our Eruv still have an effect? Because right now, whatever we were relying on, that opening is gone. V'amruli, Shabbos, kivin shehutra hutra. At the end of the day, once a moment of Shabbos comes, we had like by Tchum almost, when Shabbos comes in, you had a proper Eruv and you're allowed to carry, so whatever the reason is, whatever door fell down and broke and got plugged up, doesn't matter anymore. And Memela, in our case also, it has to be that the wall was broken before Shabbos. Have a wonderful day, Rabbi Isai. Shiram Alois. Shiram Alois. Mama Kim Kosicha Adonai. Thank you. It's a little hot out there. Noisy. The what?
The diagrams today were excellent.
Yaakov, Reb Yaakov, that means that yesterday it wasn't?
I want to know where was the sheet? I didn't have the cartoons today. Where are they?
They're there. It's all saved. Oh, maybe I didn't save it. Oh. No, what's going on? Shkoyach. I don't understand why I don't have it, Tzaddik. I'll resave them.
My kids want to know how the cat is doing.
Oh, yeah. Who cares about the cat? I want to know about
My kids, I just said that.
Nobody cares about the cat. Avi, who cares about the cat?
My kids.
Why?
The cat, so they get her.
Avi, your kids.
Does Mondo miss me?
I know, because when I lean back into the sunlight, it ultimately ends up being the same color as the background.
That's cool.
Right.
I think Mondo should match yourself with your background.
You squawk, Ravelli.
Thank you. I don't see you. I'm on Word for a second. So I don't know who just said Yishkoyach, but Yishkoyach to you.
Simon Jacob Ravelli.
Oh.
David Feinberg. Thank you. Thank you. Shimon Cohen.
Thanks, Michael Cohen, for being here. Mazel tov, Mike.
What's the Mazel Tov?
It's his birthday.
Happy birthday. Michael. Oh, here we go.
You all went back to yeshiva today.
Otazai. Here we go. I don't know, Yosef. Tell me if you see them.
Well, Belly, how are you?
Doing much better than last time we spoke, which was right before the shir. You like that, Mordechai? It's good.
Listen, you need the sunlight. The sunlight, brings out the sunshine.
I don't know. This probably glare. I see glare in the background.
Yeah.
What is it from? Is there? I wonder if it's from this door or that window. I think it's the window facing me.
The sunlight outside.
Yeah, but there's two sunlights. There's one in front of me and one on the side. Let me ask you something, guys. When I was pointing to my pergola, were you able to see the roof, or was low, the screen wasn't in the right place? It was what?
It was seen.
It was okay.
We were able to see it, but the sun.
There's too much sun. Well, the sun was behind the. Oh yeah, the sun is over there. I got it.
Let's say you have a nice pergola. It's okay. You have a nice pergola.
Shkoyach, yes. What'd you say? They're not there? You're not looking correct. You know what? I'll send it to you in a WhatsApp. Yeah, it is a sukkah. The whole thing is a sukkah. That's a sukkah. It's a beautiful sukkah. Unbelievable. I had a minhag. I stopped the minhag this year. I stopped the minhag, but I had a minhag that every sukkah, I invited the whole neighborhood to the sukkah. We did a beautiful party here.
We saw the video from last year. Beautiful.
What do you mean?
There was a video went around on the WhatsApp group a couple of months ago. Like an intro, showing serving hot coffee.
Oh no! I'm talking about that. That was very nice. That was for the shir. I'm talking about on Yontif itself. Right after davening, everybody came for we got the best herring and the best this and the best cholent and the best, and I made a crazy matzav for the kids. We had ice cream stations. Oh, we had a sushi guy come here. The sushi guy from Ramat Bet Shemesh. He did hundreds of rolls on the spot. It was a nice every year, but I think I'm gonna stop it.
You're the Ramat Beis Shemesh Rebbe. Without the Shmooze.
The Rebbe doesn't make kiddush for the Olam. The Olam makes kiddush for the Rebbe.
You have the COVID excuse for now, so you're okay for a while.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Yoel.
Tzlach in yeshiva tomorrow.
Don't forget to turn off YouTube.
Oh, that's right. Let me turn it off.
1 in the morning.